And so, is this a recent phenomenon? Like 100 years ago or 200 years ago, you know, especially in North America where you grew up, would that have been less an issue? Or was that always part of the Western vibe?
Well, you know, the Western mind hasn't always been. So depending on your time frame, and that there's not one Western mind. You know, we could, you know, for brevity's sake, you could use the phrase dominant culture. That's the phrase I tend to use, the dominant culture West, which is a very present proposition, and it's not just in Western countries. I mean, the Americans in particular have exported it all over the world. And the Chinese are better at being Western than most Westerners now are. So, but with that in mind, you know, this utter refusal to submit has a long and dire history amongst humans. But it's not pervasive across all cultures and all times. But it seems to me that any culture that was spawned more or less spontaneously with no real precursor by a kind of hellish flight away from medieval miseries and so on. This is North America in a nutshell. Australia too, at the very least. The Caribbean to a great extent as we know it today, and other places. And one of the consequences, people cross the ocean, allegedly for a better life. What they're doing is they're running. This is not the best building blocks to build a good building with, people on the run. But they were, and that's how I end up where I am. That my people's people were running. And as they came across, they were obliged more or less to leave behind everything that they were fleeing, yes, but what about the rest? What's the rest? Well, the cultural continuity that, among other things, told you what was to become of you in your dying time and thereafter. In a word, your ancestry. And North America is an ancestor-free zone. And it's a ghosted place because we've had generations of people look like me in North America now, dying without any cultural continuity or stories that give them a profound understanding of what's asked of them when they're dying. So what's the definition of a ghost? One would be someone who doesn't know they're dead, for whom the habits of life have not been extinguished by any fundamental ending. And they've been nursed along by the New Age notion of transition instead, as if nothing has to end. And I think that's a recipe for being stuck in the bardos, as they say in Buddhism, you know.
This is someone holding on to the last year of life.
Yeah, or certain people or certain places, whatever it might be. But the notion is that the habits of life should properly be the first casualty of you entering into the ending of your days. But if that's all you have, why would you forego them for the sake of a mystery, which is still a human-scaled thing? The ending of your days is not psychopomp. It's not cosmic. The ending of your days is a human-scaled mystery that's entrusted to you. And in that sense, it's a skillfulness that is seeking you out. Not something that's being done to you, but a way by which humanity can appear again among us. And the way by which we die will either be like the last manifestation of your understanding of what it means to be human, or it'll be the undoing of every understanding you ever had about what it means to be human. And my job security, alas, was predicated on the fact that virtually everyone died in the second way. Kicking, screaming, wailing, sedated, slack-jawed, and drooling. That was the norm.
That was 1,500 people you...
Well, I don't know the numbers. You know, that's a generous number. Let's just say I saw probably more death than most people in active combat see in wartime.